Really?
Yep, which is great for people who use insulin and test a lot.
Max and I are going to run out and get some right now.
Or you could call or click today and get strips and a meter free. Test easy.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait.
He was talking about what an awful decision it was, that he was the one who had to give an order which would mean a lot of troops would be killed. And that was an agony for him.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. First, we're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it.
This brutal dictator will do anything, will use any weapon, no matter how many innocents suffer.
He had an instinct for when was the right time to be tough, and when was not. And part of the coalition that he built included the Arabs. This was not just American foreign policy. Saddam was a nasty piece of work. This was international aggression.
Our armed forces fought with honor and valor. I can report to the nation, aggression is defeated, the war is over.
Operation Desert Storm was considered a success, lasting just 43 days.
The indomitable spirit that is contributing to this victory for world peace and justice is the same spirit that gives us the power and the potential to meet our toughest challenges at home.
Meanwhile, he and his administration continued to tread softly, dealing with the shrinking Soviet Union.
We tried to move at a pace which would not endanger Gorbachev. Eventually, there was a coup, but by then it was sort of too late. And Yeltsin actually pulled the Soviet Union right out from under Gorbachev.
The idol of communism has collapsed.
President Bush had told us, wait a minute, I don't want any gloating. We have a lot of business still to do with the leaders of the Soviet Union, and I don't want to see anybody in my administration, sticking it in their eye.
Gorbachev resigned December 25, 1991, and the Soviet Union dissolved the following day.
Had President Bush not handled the end of the Cold War the way he did, it could have ended with a bang and not with a whimper.
By the grace of God, America won the Cold War.
The Bush re-election campaign was based in part on the benefits of the peaceful end of the Cold War.
That people will do great things if only you set them free. If we can change the world, we can change America.
Free market, a compassionate government, and service were key components of the 41st president's agenda. Bush clearly believed that this emphasis would encourage real change.
Service to others is a rich source of meaning in life.
George and I have seen communities gather around parents with a gravely ill child, helping them take care of the other children.
President Bush began his bid for re-election with approval ratings reaching 89%.
Who do you trust in this election? The candidate who's raised taxes one time and regrets it, or the other candidate who raised taxes and fees 128 times and enjoyed it every time?
Reversing his 1988 promise, read my lips, no new taxes, proved politically disastrous. It was one reason his numbers ultimately plummeted to 33%.
I made a bad call on the Democrats' tax increase. I underestimated Congress's addiction to taxes, and with my back against the wall, I agreed to a hard bargain. One tax increase, one time, in return for the toughest spending limits ever.
Mr. Bush, for 12 years, you've had it your way, and it didn't work.
I don't have any experience in running up a $4 trillion debt.
He ran against a candidate, President Clinton, who said, it's the economy, stupid. And so his greatest triumphs got to be turned against him.
We respect the majesty of the democratic system. I just called Governor Clinton and offered my congratulations.
Now, we lost that campaign because of Ross Perot, who jumped in and took 19% of the vote, but he took 2/3 of it from us.
It hurts to lose something big like that, and you feel you let down people. All the people in the White House were discouraged and down, and so I invited Dana Carvey to come to spend the night in the White House free.
To start out with Mr. Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Then you add little John Wayne. Here we go, let's go over the ridge. You put them together, you got George Herbert Walker Bush.
During his final days at the White House, President Bush worked diligently to recognize Americans who he thought had made a difference.
And we began with a national strategy, changing attitudes so that all Americans define a successful life as one that includes serving others.
He used that sentence more than any other sentence in his presidency because he felt that it was important to keep triggering people to think differently about what they thought and what they believed was success in their lives.
One thing is for sure, I did not lack for inspiration or support during those 4 years. As to whether we got some things right, history can make that determination.
Up next, what does a former president do after life in the White House? Well, here's a hint. He doesn't sit in a rocking chair.